Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech Thee to look with favor upon this Parliamentary Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in Thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and that good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, roll call. I shall take a roll call of members, and I call upon the clerk at table to call out the names of the members of Parliament, and according to our standing orders, you respond to the call. So, clerk, you may do so now.
Abaka Samuel Erickson. Abanga Abdullahi. Abdullahi Jacob Idris. Abdul Latif Dan. Abdul Salam Adams. Ablakwa Samuel Okujetu. Abuaji George Kwame. Abuaji Kwejo Nyampong. Abudulai Bazuriwa. Achampon Brian. Achampon Charles. Achampon Richard. Akwaku Sofa Karen Edem. Akwa Alexander Kwesi. Adam Hamza. Adam Mohammed Amin. Adams Kofi Idi. Aditedi Safori. Adoya Frimpong. Ejei Kwesi Boateng. Adum Frederick Obeng. Adumako Mensa Alex. Adumako Mensa Collins. Adongo Isaac. Edu Johnson Kweku. Edu Chumiao Osei. Afenya Markin Alexander Kwamina. Afol Eric. Efrifa Mensa Kwesi Owusu. Efriye Nana Yu. Efriye Kweku. Agalga James. Agbeve Charles. Agoja Kwame Govins. Ejepon Ken Ohene. Ejari Alexander. Ejekum Emmanuel Kwejo, Ajimai Menu Kweku, Ajimai Rollins Zaneto, Ejenim Boatin Kweku, Ahinkwa Kingsley Carlos, Ahinkwa Frederick Yao, Ahi Samson, Ahiafo Bernard, Eju William Oreku, Akando Kwabna Minta, Akamvari Balidia Lamisi, Achia Samuel Lata, Alauzuga Albert Akuka, Al-Hassan Abdullah Idi, Al-Hassan Bashir A. Fusaini, Al-Hassan Lydia Seyram, Al-Hassan Saibu Suini, Aliu Mahama Umar Farouk, Aloute Angelo Foriwa, Amankwa Nicholas, Amankwa Menu Kofi, Ameu John Peter, Ami Altremi Kwesi, Amwa Oseibonsu, Amwa Stephen, Amwako Andrew Esiama, Amwakwata Kwesi, Ampem Thomas Nyako, Ampofu Chumesi Kwame, Amprechum Sapon Kweku, Anshre Emmanuel Ej, Enim Ernest Yao, Enim Moses, Anodon Pre Frank, Entry Eugene Boache, Animedu Entry Kwame, Apak Clement Abbas, Apia J. Patricia, Apia Kubi Andy Kwame, Ama Prince Hamidu, Asamoah Vincent Opon, Asante Kwejo, Asante Boatin Kweku, Asensu Boachi Francis, Esiama Isaac Kwame, Esiama Kwabna Mankwa, Esiama Ejena Nama Dokua, Asafa Vincent Eko, Atamil Samuel, Abeji James Kluche, Avoka Cletus Apu, Ewa Ignatius Bafo, Awuni Theresa Ladi, Ayamba Ladi Ayi, Ayarga Mahama, Ayiku Benjamin Nate, Ayine Dominica Kritinga, Befi Michael Ochre, Baba Benson Tongo, Baligi Bright Bachi Yoville, Bandi Mazuma Abednego, Bano Patrick, Batal Sheila, Bawa Edward Abambri, Bedra Emmanuel Kwesi, Bettino Joseph, Blankson Alex, Boachi Henry Yadom, Boachi Yadom Patrick, Boama Patrick Yao, Boatin Akwesi Daako, Boatin Amapoma, Boatin Joseph Apia, Boatin Kwabna, Bobie Evans Opoku, Boche Daniel, Brahma Muhammad Bawa, Boa Emmanuel Amakofi, Bukari Joseph Nipe, Chinya Amidu Ishaku, Tragia Samson Tongumbu, Chiwete Andrew Jari, Crensel Abeku, Kujo Comfort Doyo, Kujo Joseph, Kujo Robert Wisdom, Dafiamako Roxon Nelson Eche Kwame, Dalu Thomas Ada, Dapila Cletus Seidu, Dako Daniel Ohine, Dako Mensa Kwabnotre, Dauda Collins, Dawuni Abukari, Derry Ambrose, Jonobua Alex Tete, Donko Elvis Morris, Donko Kwabna, Duka George Mreku, Eya Nana, Fojo John Intim, Force and Castle Atoba, Frimpon Joseph, Gape Kwame Jujoli, George Samuel Nate, Gansal Hassan Kobna, Gate Joe, Gidusu Wisdom, Gomado Yao, Gomashi Ablajifa, Jemfi Emmanuel Akwesi, Jan Alexander, Jan Mensa Richard, Hamon Kobnata Hill, Hansen Note Yves, Haruna Seidu, Hayford Ophelia Mensa, Hotoje Alexander Roosevelt, Ibrahim Ahmed, Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, Ibrahim Azuriwa Muhammad, Idrisu Habib, Idrisu Haruna, Isifu Seidu, Jabbar John Benham, Jaja Yusuf Isaka, Jalula Stephen Pambin, Joshua Godfred Seidu, Jinapo John Abdullahi, Jinapo Samuel Abdullahi, Kinney Jeffrey, Kisi Dixon Adumako, Kunedu Akwesi, Kumson Mavis Howard, Kosa Martin Kweku Ejay Mensah, Kodo Benjamin Komla, Kum Ebenezer Kojo, Kuma Joseph Kwame, Kuyon Solomon, Kwache Aka Peter Yao, Kwatin Kweku Ajimai, Kofi Festus Sewa, Jay Mensah Bonsu Osei, Tremi Nelson, Labi Oscar Ofori, Late Agnes Namomo, Liwal Oscar, Mahama Asiesieni, Mahama Nasir Toure, Menu Adabo Francis, Mafu Emmanuel, Mafu Kofia Henkra, Imbomba Thomas, Mensa Betty Nanefua Crosby, Mensa Francisca Oting, Mensa Isaac Ejay, Mensa Joseph Kwesi, Mensa Tina Gifty Nayele, Mensa Andrew Kofi Japa, Morrison Cynthia Mamle, Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, Musa Abdulaziz Ayaba, Nanja Sanja, Napari Dominic, Nawani Mark Kurt, Newman Dakwan, Nitiwu Dominic Benga Maduna, Inkansambwedu Mavis, Nokoi Kofi Ako, Nogbe Ernest Henry, Notuko Twe Peter Kwesi, Intim Adelaide, Intim Augustine Collins, Intosu Helen Ajua, Nyakote Albert Tete, Nyako Bismarck Tete, Nyako Kingsley, Nyako Pamina Minta, Obintechi George Kwabena, Obin Boateng Alfred, Oklulendo Hinewa Akwele, Odampton Isaac Ashia, Ofosue Jari Elizabeth, Okofu Data Williams, Ochireje Kum Kofi, Opoku Davis Ansan, Opoku Eric, Opoku Isaac Yao, Opon Kroma Kojo, Osei John Frimpong, Osei Kennedy Nyakon, Osei Asari Abena, Osei Wusu Joseph, Oti John Kwabna Bless, Otute Christian Kolete, Owusu Bio Benito, Owusu Ekuful Esla, Peito Desmond de Graft, Pelpo Abdul Rashid Hassan, Prempe Frida Kosia, Prempe Matthew Opoku, Kwate Henry, Kwaisin James Jechi, Ramadan Muhammad Adamu, Ricky Tegan George Kweku, Safu Sarah Ajua, Sandari Sebastian Meniso, Sani Suleiman Adamu, Sani John Kobna Abam Abua, Soya Queen Samami Pokua, Sefer Richard Kwame, Setre Benjamin Yabua, Sosu Francis Xavier Kojo, Sowa Dela Ajua, Sowa Rita Nao Dole, Suparu Adams Mohammed, Suleiman Adama, Suleiman Al-Hassan Tampli, Suleiman Yusuf, Suma Anthony Kwikara, Tahidu Abdul Razak, Teria Augustine, Taila Abie Benezo Klite, Tete Joycelyn, Tete Sylvester, Tete Agbotri Gisela, Tete Joseph Akwete, Toffee Dockers, Tobu Peter Lanchini, Tuferi Mohammed Hadi, Chum Ampofu Gifty, Chum Berima Paul Apreku, Yusuf Mustafa, Vanderpoy Alfred Oko, Vanderpoy Edwin Nilante, Vondi David, Wakal Daniel Isala, Rekubrobe Bright, Woyome Kobna Mensan, Zidin Bid and Watazumo.
Honorable members, the National Pledge. I promise on my honor Honorable members, you may resume your seats. Honorable members, we have so many messages from His Excellency the President, and I want, with your kind indulgence, to refer them all to the official reporting and to urge them to capture all as submitted and to only read the current one, which is dated the 10th of June, 2024. Mr. Speaker, absence from Ghana. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I will be traveling outside the country on Tuesday, 11th June 2024, to Nassau, Bahamas, at the invitation of the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, Honorable Philip E. Davis, KC, MP, and Professor Benedict Urama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Afro-Exim Bank, to participate in the 31st meetings of the bank, scheduled to be held from 12th to 14th of June, 2024. I will depart Nassau on Friday, 14th June 2024, to Switzerland at the invitation of the President of the Swiss Confederation, His Excellency Violo Ahmed, to participate in the first summit on peace in Ukraine from 15th to 16th June 2024. I will then return to Accra on 16th June 2024. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahumudu Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, signed. I will today, instead of a formal communication, say a few words of welcome of honorable members from the recess. Honorable members, welcome from a long and eventful recess to the third meeting of the fourth session of the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. I know you are still busily engaged in your constituencies, mobilizing your constituents for the ongoing voter transfers and proxy application exercise, which the Electoral Commission is processing. Having been part of this business for a long time, I can appreciate the weight of the responsibilities on you and the demands on your person and resources. Despite this stress, I know it is a process that most of you would have loved to see completed before returning to the House to continue with plenary session. Unfortunately, national parliamentary duty calls, and neither me nor you can say no. I had to summon Parliament, and I am grateful you dutifully complied to the summons. Some of you who couldn't make it at your party primaries are also planning and putting in place strategies to sustain life after Parliament, while members who fortunately have received the mandate of the voters and their parties to contest the December 2024 elections are also engaged in campaign activities. This meeting is thus tight and challenging. That notwithstanding, Parliament is called upon to consider some critical legislation, motions, agreements, and oversight responsibilities to deepen the democratic culture and to ensure a smooth transition to the 9th Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. The agenda of this meeting, therefore, includes urgent legislations for consideration. These are, and I'll just mention a few, the Affirmative Action Gender Equality Bill 2023. Committee, this week, we want the report to be presented and laid. You have no excuse. This time around, you have no excuse. 2, Constitution of the Republic of Ghana Amendment Bill 2021. And the honorable member had a discussion with me today. He is ready to proceed with it. 3, International Business or Economic Transactions Bill 2024. That is a very critical bill because the responsibility has been heaped on Parliament since the 1992 Constitution came into force, and I think on the 7th of January 1993. Parliamentary Transition Bill is a very critical bill for this House, and we need to get it through so that they can have a better transitional arrangement put in place for the 9th Parliament of the Fourth Republic. And the Budget Bill, as part of the 19 bills at various committee stages And so we have 19 bills now that are under consideration. There are over 80 bills yet to be presented to the House. These may have to be considered in due course. We have 5 instruments before committees, 27 more instruments to be presented, 149 papers before various committees, 59 more to be presented, and some agreements lined up to be passed or approved. Copies of the agenda of the meeting will be given to every member of Parliament. This meeting is, however, proposed to end with the month of July, unless otherwise decided by the House. So by the end of July, we should be going back on recess, unless members here decide to continue. The weight of business to be considered by the House at this meeting is therefore clearly immeasurable. Honorable members, another important subject worthy of your careful consideration is law and governance. Thomas Jefferson tells us that, I want to quote him, "The care of human life and happiness, and not their distraction, is the first and only object of good government." Clearly, that is our mandate here as legislators. Our citizens deserve better, and we all must collectively unite to uphold their rights and safeguard their freedoms. I have therefore thought it wise to an engagement of this House, led by my good self, with chairpersons of the Electoral Commission, the Media Commission, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and the National Commission on Civic Education, to discuss how Parliament could collaborate and work with them to create the right and just environment for free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections. This, I believe, will inspire confidence in the process and faith in our democratic institutions. We will definitely not be doing this alone. We will include the President, the Council of State, the National Security Council, flag bearers, and national executives of various political parties, the security service, particularly the police. And I emphasize, particularly the police. We don't want to see military during election. When there is a need to call them, they will be called. But they should not be at polling or voting centers. Honorable members, the clergy and notable civil society leaders will be actively involved. The signs and signals of happenings in the country are not that of assurance and hope. I shudder when I'm told that people going to write their names carry knives, guns, just to go and write names. What about when we are going to vote? And at the end of it all, the results are announced, and somebody else has carried the day, and not the other. I shudder to picture what will happen. Apart from that, the joblessness, the homelessness, and the hopelessness of the youth cannot be taken lightly. We must act together and now to prevent a journey to calamity or to a journey of no return. Honorable members, as the English conductor Sir Thomas Beecham once noted, there are only 2 golden rules for an orchestra. You start together and you finish together. Let us, as a political class, start together and finish together. I didn't hear you. The public does not give a damn what goes on in between the starting together and finishing together. It is clear that as representatives of the people, we have a significant amount of work ahead of us, and I therefore urge all members to patronize the work and ensure that we make progress on these important matters. I've given signal to the chairs of the constitutional commissions, and they are more than happy to engage with us. And the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has promised to be here anytime we want her, so we can talk and clarify issues. That is a very good signal. Honorable members, on this note, I welcome you to the 3rd meeting of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. You are welcome. We may take some sweetening words from our leaders as they lead us through this meeting. And so we'll start from the minority leader and end up with the majority leader. Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm most grateful for the opportunity to make a statement to welcome members and your good self to the commencement of the 3rd meeting of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it feels so good to see everyone back. I'm grateful to the Lord Almighty for His protection over all of us. The Speaker, kindly indulge me to bring to your notice and to the notice of the House some matters that require urgent national attention. These matters, Mr. Speaker, are worrying, and since they have the potential to disturb the peace and threaten the stability of the democracy. Mr. Speaker, this is particular so because if this is not checked, it can lead into the destruction of the democracy that we have all fought for. Mr. Speaker, prior to the last District Assembly elections, the NDC Minority Caucus raised concerns about the conduct of the Electoral Commission during the limited registration. This was because the Commission made terrible decisions that threatened the integrity of Ghana's electoral process. Mr. Speaker, this set the Electoral Commission on a coalition course with some political parties, civil society organizations, and potential first-time voters. In February 2023, the NDC minority had a cause to say that this Electoral Commission enjoys taking unwholesome decisions, being disruptive, fancies courting public disaffection, and enjoys being roundly condemned by right-thinking people. We said this at the time because the Electoral Commission had taken a decision to restrict first-time voters to register only at the offices of the Electoral Commission. That reckless decision had the potential to disenfranchise or deprive the vast majority of first-time voters the opportunity to have their names captured in the voter register. That decision by the Electoral Commission made the registration of new voters' registration exercise very difficult, cumbersome, painful, and laborious for those who were qualified to register as voters. The decision of the Electoral Commission also imposed huge unplanned financial burden on members of Parliament, parliamentary candidates, and political parties. Persons who were registering for the first time were needlessly subjected to frustrations and great inconvenience, whilst members of Parliament were subjected to significant unplanned out-of-pocket expenditures. People had to travel long distances, Mr. Speaker, to the offices of the Electoral Commission, endure long delays from queues, and suffer the agony of broken down registration equipment and network failures. Mr. Speaker, one would have thought that the Electoral Commission would have learned lessons from the reckless decision that I have just recounted, which created chaos and confusion over the place. But no, Mr. Speaker, the Electoral Commission learned nothing from the past. These terrible decisions have just been repeated by the Electoral Commission in just ended voter registration, as well as the ongoing vote transfer exercise. Mr. Speaker, the Electoral Commission is making a simple electoral process very cumbersome, frustrating, expensive, and, Mr. Speaker, burdensome. These developments do not inspire hope in our electoral process. Rather, they give people and some political parties cause to question the integrity of the processes ahead of the 2024 general election. We are concerned, Mr. Speaker, that if these frustrating actions and decisions of the Electoral Commission is not checked, it can negatively impact the peace and stability of our democracy. Mr. Speaker, despite the Electoral Commission's earlier agreement with political parties at IPAC meetings to let the party agents monitor vote transfer, the Commission made a strange announcement banning party agents from the ongoing voter transfer and for them to be able to monitor the voter transfer. Again, Mr. Speaker, it took the strong pushback from the NDC and some civil society organizations and condemnations, Mr. Speaker, across the country for the Electoral Commission to retreat. These developments, Mr. Speaker, are unhealthy for our electoral process and democracy and go a long way to ground the public perception of bias on the part of this particular Electoral Commission. Mr. Speaker, why must this Electoral Commission always take questionable decisions which create chaos and confusion across the country? Why must this Electoral Commission always threaten the peace and stability of our dear democracy? Mr. Speaker, I may ask again, why must it take massive pushback from the public and backlash from the Electoral Commission to always do what is right for the people of Ghana? Mr. Speaker, whilst we acknowledge the Electoral Commission is an independent body, it must be pointed out in no uncertain terms to the Electoral Commission that it does not have the independence to make dangerous, ridiculous, and outrageous decisions that can affect the peace and stability of our country and its democracy. It is therefore imperative for Parliament to call the Electoral Commission to order and to save the democracy that we have always protected. Mr. Speaker, the NDC Minority Caucus want to use this forum to demand an urgent committee of the whole meeting with the Electoral Commission and to iron out these concerns before, Mr. Speaker, it is too late. Right Honourable Speaker, may I now move to another issue of considerable national interest. Mr. Speaker, only some few days ago, we woke up to the news of another scandal that this government has given out our 5G spectrum to a company or a new entity called the Next Gen Infraco Company Limited for the next 10 years. Mr. Speaker, under this deal, we were told that the NextGen Infraco Limited has been given the exclusive right to build, own, and operate the entire 5G infrastructure network across the country for the use of all mobile network operators, internet service providers, and other interested entities. Interestingly, Mr. Speaker, the President granted executive approval for the Sweetheart deal on the 22nd of August 2023, barely 1 week after the company was incorporated on the 16th of August 2023. This arrangement, Mr. Speaker, are not transparent, was awarded without any competitive process whatsoever, and has not been subjected to parliamentary approval as required by Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act 921, 2016. While conservative estimates suggest that the government could have raised between $250 million to $500 million upfront, this government is giving our national asset away at a paltry $6.25 million and 1% annual revenue per annum over a period of 10 years on a work and pay basis. Simply put, Mr. Speaker, Ghana will receive $42.2 million in present value terms, assuming cost of capital is 10%, for a national asset that could have cost us, that this nation could have raked in up to $500 million. Mr. Speaker, this deal does not deliver value for money. It has shortchanged the people of Ghana, Mr. Speaker, particularly at a time that Ghanaians need so much foreign exchange to cushion the currency, and also at a time that Ghana actually requires some form of non-tax revenue to take the burden of the taxpayer. The NDC minority has therefore flagged this transaction, Mr. Speaker, for further scrutiny, and we urge the government to do what is right and present the document before us for us to do justice with it before the agreement is actually signed. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the projections and statistics on the food situation in Ghana, Mr. Speaker, is grim. According to the World Food Programme report that was issued in March 2024, more than 1 million Ghanaians are likely to face food insecurity between now and August. Mr. Speaker, for example, the price of a bucket of tomato, which was sold at 75 cedis at the beginning of this year, now sells at 180 Ghana cedis. This represents an increase of 140%. Mr. Speaker, the price of a crate of tomato increased by more than 360% between January and June this year alone, moving from 1,500 Ghana cedis to 7,000 Ghana cedis. In a matter of 1 week, Right Honourable Speaker, the price of a sack of onion jumped from 600 Ghana cedis to 1,050 Ghana cedis, an increase of nearly 100%. Mr. Speaker, a sack of kokonte, which was sold for 900 Ghana cedis in December 2023, now sells as 1,100 Ghana cedis. This means, Mr. Speaker, that within 5 months, the price of kokonte has gone up by 22.2%. A tuber of yam, Right Honourable Speaker, was sold at 25 Ghana cedis as of December 2023. It's now going for 30 Ghana cedis. This represents, again, another 20% increase in the price of yam. Right Honourable Speaker, high food prices are not the only challenges facing the people of Ghana, but food shrinkflation, where food vendors maintain their prices but reduce the quantity or the size of their portion, is also the new order of the day. I'm sure that those of you who have purchased in Kandokon or Gan KK recently will appreciate the food shrinkflation that I'm talking about. Mr. Speaker, the food is shrinking in size by the day, even though they claim the price is not increasing. Shrinkflation has become the order of the day as long as food is concerned. Mr. Speaker, in all honesty, the chroma is shit. Times are very hard and Ghanaians are really suffering. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm curious. I want to ask, what has happened to the billions of Ghana cedis approved by this House for the government's so-called flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs? Where is the food and where are the jobs? Right Honourable Speaker, where are they planting for? Are they planting for high food inflation or they are planting for joblessness? Mr. Speaker, we are back. Trust us, the NDC Minority Caucus, to protect the interests of the people of Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
To the Majority Leader.
Honourable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to welcome colleagues from recess. I'd like to answer my sincere appreciation and gratitude to your good self, Mr. Speaker, colleague members of the leadership, honourable members, the clerk to Parliament and staff of the parliamentary service for always rising up to the occasion and rallying to the national call whenever the House considers it necessary. I commend the Parliamentary Press Corps for their consistent coverage of the business of the House. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifices and dedication of your good self and officers of parliamentary service in ensuring that the House is able to perform its constitutional mandate is worth commending, and I take this opportunity to extol you for your patriotism. Mr. Speaker, as you are well aware, during recess, honourable members did not idle about, but continue to perform their constitutional obligations to the people they represent. Members take the opportunity to visit their constituencies and interact with their constituents and also solve their problems. I entertain no doubt that honourable members were able to make time to rest and also to relax in order to be refreshed and renewed for the arduous task and responsibilities this meeting may present. Mr. Speaker, having said so, let me proceed to state that there are a number of priority business to be transacted by the House, including bills to be laid, loan agreements, mining leases and commercial agreements, instruments and requests for tax waivers and import duties, etc. Mr. Speaker, we have as much as 24 bills that have been referred to committees. Again, Mr. Speaker, we have statutory report that ought to be laid and considered by the House. Upon my count, we have 11 of these. Mr. Speaker, the need to address the affirmative action bill has already been echoed by you, and I would encourage our colleagues who are in charge of this important bill to do all they can to deliver on their mandate. Mr. Speaker, looking at the above business and others waiting to be programmed, my colleagues will agree with me that we have a Herculean task ahead of us in this third meeting of the fourth session. I shall humbly encourage our hard-working committee chairpersons and ranking members to expedite actions on various referrals already before them and also prepare to receive new referrals as the Speaker may so direct. Mr. Speaker, let me concede that we do not have a perfect system. Ghana is not a perfect country, but we have made some progress. In the field of education, Mr. Speaker, at the time this government assumed office in 2017, we had around 800,000 of our children in school. Today, due to the implementation of the free SHS, we have 1.4 million Ghanaian youth in schools. Mr. Speaker, many are those because their parents could not afford, they had to stay home. Today, government has added TVET to the free SHS policy, so technical education is free. I always look back as my colleagues I completed BEC with, who had distinction but could not have the benefit of secondary education. Their lives are wasted. I was privileged, Mr. Speaker, to have benefited from a bursary by Parkway Sindo when I was in final year at St. Augustine's College. Today, I've had the benefit of secondary education. I stand here as a representative of the people of Efutu. But what about those who were good, who were knowledgeable, who had the intelligence, who had what it takes to benefit from secondary education, but their parents could not afford? Indeed, this government rose up to the call. The call was an aspirational call, but today this government has made free SHS a possibility, and Ghanaians are benefiting. I believe that we shall together work as a people to address the challenges in the educational sector. Suffice to state, Mr. Speaker, that we have seen massive infrastructural development in our various secondary schools, especially in our vocational technical institutions. All the 58 vocational technical institutions have been well equipped with new hostels, administration blocks, and machinery. All are there for us to see. Mr. Speaker, this government acknowledges that our people face various forms of challenges. It is in the light of this that history will remember this government as the only government in this Fourth Republic ever to reduce electricity tariffs. In 2018, Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana announced various tariff reductions ranging between 18 to 30%. It's a matter of record. Between 18 to 30%. This has never happened in the history of this country. Mr. Speaker, no doubt we face an election in 2024, December 7th. We know the work that the Electoral Commission is doing. They are not a perfect institution. They may have challenges. But when it comes to them, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the registration exercise they recently conducted, it is clear that they did better than what happened in 2016. In 2016, Mr. Speaker, the Electoral Commission limited its registration to only 8 offices. To only 8 offices. In this registration exercise, apart from 8 district offices, additional centers were created. So this exercise was far better than what we experienced in 2016. But perhaps, Mr. Speaker, let me rely on the veritable words of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, when in 2016 he encouraged Ghanaians, quote, let's not overly criticize the Electoral Commission. Let's have faith in our Electoral Commission. Let's have faith in our Electoral Commission. Relying on these veritable words, we shall encourage all of us as Ghanaians to have faith
Honorable members, let's listen to the leader, please. Honorable members, Majority Leader, you may continue.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your protection. Mr. Speaker, we are all beneficiaries of democratic governance. and it is incumbent upon us to ensure its sustenance and continuity, and this can only be achieved by engendering the trust and confidence of the populace in the process. Democracy has brought so much benefit to this country, and that I expect that every well-meaning Ghanaian citizen will strive to protect and ensure the peace and harmony we enjoy today is sustained for tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, the situation where elected members of this august house go to the media or resort to the use of other platforms to attack independent constitutional bodies and agencies in a manner that is should be a thing of the past. I do not think that I need to remind honorable members and civil society of the happenings around us where the gains of democracy are increasingly being rolled back through military adventurism, coup d'etats, and terrorism, which is as a result of these unguarded commentaries and statements by persons and officials of state who should have been working to protect and safeguard the practice of constitutional governance. It is imperative that we avoid any incendiary statements and accusations that can harm our democracy and the peace and unity we enjoy. Let us endeavor to preserve and protect our democracy so that we can reap the gains and benefit thereof and bequeath to the future generation a prosperous and a peaceful Ghana. Mr. Speaker, as the House is already aware, a successful by-election was conducted in Ejiso constituency in the Ashanti region, where our colleague, Kwabena Boateng, was elected as a member of parliament. The member was duly sworn in during the recent recall sitting in accordance with the Constitution and other standing orders of the House. Again, I take this opportunity to welcome him to this august House and to encourage him to make an impact in this House. Mr. Speaker, admittedly, any opposition party may decide not to agree with the ruling party, and our democracy is no exception to this development. Nonetheless, even in our disagreements, we must put the welfare and well-being of our people first and eschew any act that will deny our people the benefits they are likely to gain from our work as parliamentarians, which is our utmost duty. We must understand that no parliament can operate without cooperation and consensus building, and these must be our guiding principles. Whether in opposition or in government, democracy is supposed to yield positive dividends to the people, and we, as elected representatives, have a key role to play in this regard. We must therefore live up to our responsibility. Let me remind colleagues that as a result of the standing orders that we adopted, there will be the need for us to reconstitute committees of parliament. Leadership has put its heads together, and very soon, I'm sure that would lay before this House the new committees for us to proceed to do our work as a House. We may have challenges as a country, Mr. Speaker, but it is possible to traverse, remain strong, and come out as a people and keep our democracy. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall thank you and thank my colleagues for their kind audience.
Honorable members, as I said, you, by virtue of the vote of your constituents, represent them here. And by your grace, I preside over the House. I get a lot of information, and you've just echoed some on the floor. And that is why I preempted these speeches by taking the initiative to link the constitutional bodies to the House, for us to continuously be dialoguing on these matters. If not, the attitude of the Ghanaian, where we usually take everything for granted, joke and dance over everything until it becomes too late, will happen. We don't want that to happen. And that is why I want to plead with all of you that anytime you hear that we are engaging any of the leaders of the constitutional commissions, be present, raise the issues, let's discuss them, let's come to some consensus, then we take them to the ground. None of us will be a beneficiary of the crisis that some of us can foresee that are likely to rise in the next election. And that is making our country a very risky country to invest in. And it's affecting, as you know, the economy and the finances of the country. So I agree with your leaders. I agree with them. And I think that these are genuine concerns and we need to come together to resolve them. Please, time is of essence, and we are going to start very soon. So the call for the meeting of the Committee of the Whole, by next week, we should have a Committee of the Whole meeting, and we should get some of these commissions to come before us. We need the other commissions because of issues of civic education, because of issues of human rights, because of issues of media and the role the media plays in all this. It's so important. We have to work together as a nation. With this, may I then let us go through the routine of correction of votes and proceedings and the official report. I'm sure you have copies. And I'll start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Friday, 17th May 2024. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 14, sorry. Honorable Blakwa.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at page 12, the decision of the House, ayes 137, noes 132, does not appear to align with page 7, the members who were in the House that day. So if the table of his school, kindly relook at it so that we reconcile our numbers, because we have 4 members absent at page 7. But if you look at the vote at page 12, unless there is an explanation that probably some people came later and were not counted or did not participate in the vote. But if you don't get that, it doesn't reflect when you go through the pages. So we may have to reconcile the numbers. It doesn't add up. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Ablakwa is right, because page 12, ayes 137, noes 132, 2 put together is 269 members. And then if you are to look at page 7, we have 271 members. So 271 as against 269, 2 additional members have been added to the list. So if some explanation can be given to us by the State Office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Speaker, especially because there's no indication as to abstention. That.
But, honorable members, this is very simple. What you read at page 12 is the counting of heads. So the heads who were available at the time were counting. We counted 269. That is different from attendance at Parliament, which is what you referred to earlier on. And so, yes, you might have about 271 attending Parliament, but at the time we were counting the heads, some were not present to be counted. That is it. Even at the time at the time we even took the voice vote, some people were present. At the time we were counting the heads, those people were not present. I sit here, I observe a lot. And I'm sure some of you will recall and recollect some of them. So please, there is no contradiction at all. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, the NDC minority recorded 132, and 5 of our members did not show up on that day. 5 of our members. The MPP minority recorded 137, and 1 of their members did not show up on that day. If you are to add the 2,
were not present when we were counting the heads.
No, they did not show up
in Parliament at all.
No, Mr. Speaker, that is what it is.
They didn't come to the House.
At all. So, Mr. Speaker, 5 plus 1 will give us 6 minus 275. It doesn't give us the 271 as has been reported here. And so we are concerned because we total number of MPs 275, and NDC minority alone had 5 members absent. So 5 members absent on that day should not be equal to 271. It doesn't add up. It should be at least minimum 270. And if one person from the majority did not also show up, it should be 269. So the numbers, for me, that's not sure. Even if granted that all of them were present, we still were not having the 271 as has been reported here. The Speaker, that must be made clear. Thank you.
Well, these are drawn from records. And so we may have to go back to the records. And we, by our standing orders, have shown how people should indicate their presence. And that is what is used to compile it. But let's listen to the majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have to treat two different issues here. The voting as an issue and then the attendance as a different issue. On the voting, the minority leader is right in saying that we recorded 137 with one person not immediately available to be counted. And that is in the person of Honorable Eugene Entry. He was not available because of some unavoidable reasons. He had left the chamber. However, Honorable Eugene Boachi Entry was in the chamber in the morning, in the afternoon, and he cannot be marked absent. You can check it. He was in the chamber, and in fact, at the time of counting, we had Honorable Frida Prempe, who was also out, but came in later and was counted. So originally, we would have, initially when the count was done, would have had 136, with two of our members who were not in the chamber present at the time there was the head count. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want that to be put in proper perspective. We accounted for 271 members, 138 members of the majority caucus present for that day. 138 the counting was 37. Yes. 138 members of the majority caucus were present. It was during the head count that we had 137. And we know our member who are taking permission to attend to some matter, which is Honorable Eugene Wachi Entry. We have not issued a press statement. There is no press statement from us against our colleague. We've never done that. He took permission to absent himself and he had to attend to an important matter. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, you don't need to split hairs over this. We have the records. We have the records from the signatures. We have to capture the names you see here as present. So please, you don't want us to go back to scrutinize the signatures to see whether they are authentic or not. And as you know, I know, even as we sit, I know the number of MPs that are bedridden, that are in the country, those who are out of the country. We have the records. And I'm happy that many of the MPs do communicate with me, and sometimes even send me some indelible records of the state in which they are. So please, let's leave it at that. I think the records truly reflect what we have on our documents. May we move on? We're at page 14. Can we go to 15? Yes, please.
I'm grateful. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, please, I'll need your guidance for item number 22 at page 15. The House accordingly approved the nominations of H.E., the President, for appointment as Ministers of State and Deputy Ministers as follows. But Mr. Speaker, when you go through the list, we have ministers, and then we have a minister of state at the Ministry of Finance, and then we have deputy ministers. We all know that ministers are not the same as minister of state. So should the proper rendition not be the House approving ministers, a minister of state, and deputy ministers, to be more accurate, this being a House of record, because ministers are not the same, technically, with as ministers and minister of state at a ministry. They are two distinct positions. So, considering what has been provided, the list provided, you have ministers, and then you have a minister of state, and then you have deputy ministers. So I would have thought that the introductory paragraph will accurately reflect what follows.
Actually, if you look at the Constitution, it talks of ministers of state. Simplicity. They are now assigned responsibilities. Some may not be assigned responsibilities, or they may be additional, and you cannot keep on calling all the Minister for Finance. And so you see state at Minister of State at the Minister of Finance, but he's not the one that is ultimately responsible. And so when you use the constitutional provision, you see 78(1) says, ministers of state shall be appointed by the president. And in fact, I think that is what we should practice. We approve them as ministers of state. Then the president can assign the responsibilities. I also know that even sometimes after we've approved a minister that has been assigned one responsibility, even before the minister takes or assumes duty, the president, and a number of presidents have done it, they reassign the person to a different portfolio. And so we need to look at it together, and whether the practice should not conform to what is in the Constitution. But that is an area we can draw the attention of the executive to, particularly the executive presidents. But I think the use of the term ministers of state to cover both those at the ministry with responsibilities and those who are just there as ministers of state, but they haven't been given ultimate responsibility. Then you have deputy ministers. I know in the conditions of service they are not the same, but that is what we have. Even the ministers of state with responsibility don't receive the same as those that are designated as cabinet ministers. Cabinet ministers. So I think, yes, your concern is taken note of, but the records truly reflect the legal position. Page 16. More legal views. Yes, Honorable Dafiopo.
Speaker, thank you. Speaker, I rise on a different matter.
Yes, okay.
But in respect of the same item in the votes on proceedings. It's in respect of item number 22. The House accordingly approved the nominations of His Excellency the President for appointment as Ministers of State and Deputy Minister as follows. Mr. Speaker, the record will bear all of us out that this side of the House, we disengaged and walked out. And so if the record is captured this way, it does not reflect what, yes, what's really happening. So I was hoping that even though the narrative above speaks to what happened on the floor, I believe that approved would have been qualified, approved by consensus or by majority. I want to seek your guidance on how we couch this going forward, if so to speak, going forward. Because there's no indication that we're all counted or we're all present. Thank you very much.
Well, you know the standing orders and how votes and proceedings are to be a summation of decisions taken in the House. What you're talking about will be captured in the official report called Hansard. But in the votes and proceedings, this is sufficient to capture it. And what truly happened was that the minority leader, on behalf of the minority caucus, put across your position on the matter before you walked out. And so that position that he put across was part of the consideration of the motion that was moved. I heard from the grapevine how some of you disagreed strongly with my position in this matter. But I still hold on to my position because I think I'm legally right. And that those of you who disagree with me are, I will use a strong word, irredeemably wrong. So we had a full quorum to take the decision, and it was accordingly taken. I maintain that position. So let's move on to 18, page 18, and with that, in the absence of any corrections, the votes and proceedings of the sitting dated Friday, 17th May 2024 are adopted as a true record of proceedings. Members should take note that I did not use the term emergency sitting. This was not an emergency sitting. Emergency sitting comes under Article 113. This sitting was under Article 112. And I emphasize that I had to do so in the national interest, not because there were urgent matters or emergency items, but in the national interest. Well, those matters were pending before the House before we adjourned. And so they were not urgent matters or emergency items, but they were in the national interest. And therefore we had to come back to transact those business. So we move on, and we may take the official reports, and there are 3 of them. I doubt whether you've gone through them, but because we have a backlog of them, we've agreed to be taking about 3 a day. So we have the official report of 8th February 2024, 9th February 2024, and 13th February 2024 for your kind correction. In the absence of any corrections, the official reports of Thursday, 8th February 2024, Tuesday, I should say Friday, 9th February 2024, Tuesday, 13th February 2024. Are taken as the true record of proceedings of those 3 days. Honorable members, I should have recognized some people that were at the gallery. Unfortunately, they say because of the distance, they had to leave, and there will be no need recognizing them in their absence. But we had the presence of students from the Legacy Girls College and also class Peter Memorial from Lower Manyakrobo and Okaikwe SAF. We will want to remind members of the launching of the Democracy Cup on Thursday, 13 June 2024. I did inform members earlier on. It's important that we keep on reminding you. It's an initiative that is not only going to make Parliament more visible and more accessible and inclusive, but also going to support each and every member of Parliament in his or her constituency. That is what the initiative is meant to achieve. And it will be an annual event. So we want as many as possible to come and be part of the launching on Thursday, 13 June 2024 at the Justice D.F. Anand's Auditorium. The time is 9 a.m. prompt. I will personally be available to launch this Democracy Cup. With this, and with your kind permission, we may proceed to adjourn the House. Yes, there's something else. Yes, Majority Leader.
If Mr. Speaker will be pleased, may we take the business statement?
Business statement, yes. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, of the Order 216 of the rules of this House establishes a business committee, and Order 216(2)(a) prescribes the work of the committee. Accordingly, the business committee of the House has established, fortified by the aforementioned rules, met this morning and arranged the business for the week ending Friday, the 14th of June, 2024. Mr. Speaker, the report of the business committee, which report is a 2-page report with an annexure, has been printed and circulated to all members. If Mr. Speaker will be pleased, I shall rely on the report as signed on my behalf by the Chief Whip of the Majority Caucus without more. I thank you, sir.
Honorable members, the business committee has presented its report. It's now for the consideration of the House. Yes, the honorable member for Bole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Majority Leader for this business statement and to make a few observations. First of all, I have received some complaints from staff of the Youth and Employment Agency that they have not been paid since February this year. And I followed up, and it's confirmed that indeed they've not been paid. And so I want to use this opportunity to call on the majority leader to invite the Minister of Finance and the Minister responsible for employment to this very important house to tell us why these young men and women who have sacrificed for all these months have not been paid. We all know how difficult it is to live in this country. And if they have sacrificed to work for Mother Ghana, it's only appropriate that these young men and women will be paid. And so I want to make that passionate appeal to the majority leader to consider bringing the finance minister and the minister responsible for employment to come and tell us why, under our watch, these young men and women will have to suffer this ordeal. Mr. Speaker, there's another important issue that I thought I should bring to your notice. I have seen about 38 companies listed seeking tax exemptions. And I want to find out whether any of these companies is going to assist the Commander Sugar Factory to become operationalized. I say this because, Mr. Speaker, the minister responsible for Works and Housing paid a courtesy call on the chiefs of the Commander traditional area. And he told them that your very house, this very important house, is the cause of the delay. Is the cause of the delay in the operationalization of the Commander Sugar Factory. And that they submitted tax exemptions to this very house, and the House, especially the minority side, refused to approve the tax exemptions. So I want to find out whether among the 38 companies listed, one of them is going to respond to this call. If not, I'll ask them to bring it. Because in as long as the production of sugar in this country is concerned, the minority side
Honourable Member,
will not.
You made the point. You made the point.
Mr. Speaker, there's the last one. Which is the last one? Very last one.
Three.
No, this is the second one, so last one.
Because I have 4.
Mr. Speaker, the last one also relates to the same issue of tax exemptions for 1D, 1F. Our respected, experienced majority leader, who has the opportunity to come here and present the business for us, and for that matter to present these companies for tax exemptions, organize a press conference and to denigrate this house, and for that matter the minority, by saying that we are the cause, that we stampeded government business, and we are sabotaged, and that is why tax exemptions have not been awarded or approved for these companies. I thought, Mr. Speaker, that's, for me, it's unfortunate. It is the responsibility of the the majority side, and for that matter, the business is being driven by them. And so if they have not brought your tax exemptions request, why do you accuse the minority and saying that we are the ones who delayed it? In any case, Mr. Speaker, this tax exemptions issues started in 2021. So many bills and motions that you have very important interest in came and passed through. E-levy came after these tax exemptions. E-levy has been passed. So many laws came after these tax exemptions. They have all been passed. You have deliberately delayed this thing, and you want to deceive your ears by putting us in this situation. I think that, Mr. Speaker, the leader of this house should be able to bring all of us together. This will not in any way stop us from scrutinizing this tax exemption that you are bringing. I can assure you that this side will do what is right, and that we will stand in the interest of this nation will stand in the interest of the common Ghanaian. And this is what I want to say in summary. Mr. Speaker, God bless you.
Let's listen to him first on this very important matter. I'm very concerned because I'm the one who presides over the House. He has made serious allegations about statements made who seem to impinge on the performance of the House. So I'll give you ample time to respond to them.
Mr. Speaker, I'll start from the last. When we were on recess, we all engaged in some political banter. Mr. Speaker, this is not a forum to come and settle scores. If you've been beaten, Mr. Speaker, I'm really not in the mood for a banter. I have defeated them. This was a matter between the minority leader and the majority leader. What number are you? What number are you? Why do you get yourself involved in a matter that does not concern you? Are you a leader? Are you in leadership? It's between your boss and my boss. So don't attempt to get yourself into this matter as a busybody. Don't make yourself a busybody. We'll finish with this banter and you've been defeated. It's clear. It's clear. And I told him that what he was doing was wrong because during President Mahamad's era, tax exemptions were granted without parliamentary approval. And I gave him evidence and he knows. So Atu is not here. I don't want to argue in his absence. When he comes, I would want him to mount a debate, bring his argumentation, and I will challenge him. As for you, you don't have a number here. So I will engage you. Mr. Speaker, I'm done. Don't get involved. You are deputy. You are deputy. No, you are deputy. Mr. Speaker, you're supposed to sit down. Mr. Speaker, you haven't been called. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, when you were the majority leader, you gave a guide on how we should deal with issues that emanate from business statement. Mr. Speaker, I rely on the wisdom in that call you made as majority leader to say that my colleague is out of order in respect of, I'm not ruling you out of order, but I'm using out of order in a context to say that, the matter before us, normally if you have an issue, you must take it with your leaders. You see, if you say there are national issues, your leaders attend the meeting. The business committee meeting is attended by leadership. Your colleagues are also part, some members. At least you can run it through them. Then I will support you if you come out with a statement on this. I will support you if it's indeed a national call. I will support you. Or if you file a question, I will go out of my way to push it for you. I will go out of my way to assist you. But for now, Mr. Speaker knows that what you are doing is the usual politics. You just want to clear your throat. So it's accepted. No problem. Mr. Speaker, I would rest my case without more.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. That's where I entered at the tail end of the conversation. But I heard what the majority leader said, especially when you made reference to a member of parliament. He has run elections in third term, I'm sure. So he must understand, and he should know what it takes to enter this house, to be a member of parliament. And for members of parliament who have executed elections, very difficult elections, won elections, to represent their people, to come here, and for the majority leader who should know that these are people who have walked here in the shadows of giants, and to tell them they don't have numbers. And that is seriously a problem. And right now, Speaker, I have listened to the majority leader consistently in press conferences anytime he talks about tax exemptions. And I've decided that I will raise this issue. But I want to put it on record, Mr. Speaker. This House, not even during the NDC period, we have approved over $1 billion Ghana cedi on tax exemption for the Akufo-Addo government on the so-called one district, one factory. The basis for the one district, one factory was that, one, it was going to really address the export, reduce our exports, basically increase our exports and reduce our imports. It will stop rural-urban migration and really create jobs. After billions of Ghana cedis spent, not only in exemptions, but money spent to reduce interest payment for companies, so-called companies. Let me ask the majority leader a question. Exactly what has the 1D, one factory done in terms of reducing unemployment in this country? In fact, the Minister of Finance in 2023 was here and said that, in fact, our import bill is now $10 billion higher than when we started 1D, 1F. In fact, I'm humbly submitting that the 1D, 1F that will prompt exemptions is a complete failure. And there's basis for us not even approving the exemptions, because you've wasted our money and there's nothing to show for. You are just shopping around looking for companies who have already been established for 20 years and labeling them 1D, 1F. We know that.
And then give them tax.
Give 1 billion Ghana cedi to a private citizen and come here and tell us that today the total jobs you've created is 171,000 jobs. That is why it's a failure. And so we must debate that. And your argument is not grounded in this House. And so I want to tell you, those arguments you've been making about 1D, 1F must stop. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority that take note of it. Let me listen to the others so that when you are responding, you respond to them. Sorry? I thought you were continuing on this. Mutala, you were trying to say something before I come to him. Mutala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my honorable friend for presenting the business statement, even though with some, he garnished it with some mistake. My former friend. And to state that Honorable Yusuf asked him to invite the minister responsible for finance and employment on a very critical matter, the payment of the allowances of the National Youth Employment employees. Honorable Speaker, we each have constituencies. We represent people. The interests of the people we represent, for me, is sine qua non to the relevance of this House. To that extent, when those young people are not paid, it is excruciating. These are young people who move from far distances to discharge their responsibilities as employees under these programs, and they are not being paid for months. I've had calls from my constituents of NAPCO employees, the defunct NAPCO. They are still not being paid. We do know that the communication service tax, 80% of the monies for the communication service tax is given to the National Youth Employment Program, thanks to Prof. Mills and President Mahama, who took it from 25% to 80% when I had the privileged opportunity to have been the deputy national coordinator for the National Youth Employment Program. And that money is over 100 million Ghana cedis. Yet you still have beneficiaries under the program who are not being paid. So it is important, responsible for employment and finance, to explain to the people of this country through this House why those beneficiaries haven't been paid and why the NAPCO beneficiaries also haven't been paid. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would urge that the majority leader invite the Minister for Finance again on the COVID levy, because he alluded to what government has done when we had COVID. Now, the COVID levy was introduced so that government will be able to reap the so-called free water and free electricity they give the people of this country. As we stand today, we are not aware how much government has collected as a result of the COVID levy. If you introduce a tax regime for the purposes of monies you expended to cushion the people of this country, and then people have paid, if we have paid more than what government spent on COVID, then it will amount to extorting the people of this country for monies you shouldn't extort them of. So I think it is important the Minister for Finance is brought to this House to explain to the people of this country how much was spent to provide the free water and the free electricity, and how much they have collected so far on the COVID levy. Another one has to do with Minister of Agri. And Right Honourable Speaker, I know you are profoundly concerned about this. The rains have actually started. Farmers are about to start farming. Farmers would have to pay between 300 Ghana cedis to 400 Ghana cedis for 1 hectare of land. One acre, sorry. Between 300 to 400 Ghana cedis. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm a farmer. I still have thousands of bags of my rice at the farm at Yaba. I don't have market for them. Honourable Akando has rice there, no market for them. Honourable Adongo, I can mention Honourable Samson. In fact, including clerks of this House. They have their rice at the farms, they don't have market for them. Yet the state is spending over $2 billion in the importation of rice and poultry products into this country. The NDC handed over to this government a little over $500 million we're spending annually in the importation of rice and poultry products into this country. They have taken it to over $2 billion. Now, the reason why the city is struggling, I am not an economist. It's a simple law of demand and supply. The higher the supply, the lower the price. The lower the supply, the higher the price. So what it simply means is that every year, we have to mop within this domestic market to get close to $3 billion to import something we have the capacity to produce. I have had a discussion with the Minister for Agri for them to buy the rice we have produced. As we see today, NABMO, a disaster management. They are buying imported rice for the people of this country. NABMO. It doesn't make sense. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important, in fact, it is essential for the Minister for Agri, who is also a member of this House, and the Minister for Finance.
Honourable Member, I have to rush to do something, so the second Deputy Speaker will take the chair. Sorry, I wanted to conclude with you, but time is of essence in this matter. So, second Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
Yes, Honourable Member for Temale Central, you may continue.
So, Mr. Speaker, it's a simple law of demand and supply. I have had some discussions with the Minister for Agri, and I said we have produced the rice. If government decides to buy the rice that is produced in this country, and some of our colleagues are even mailing, NABMO is still using imported products. It simply doesn't make sense. And I am tempted to agree with Machiavelli when he says, in fact, Aristotle, that society can only change when leaders become philosophers or philosophers become leaders. I think philosophy is in a short supply under this government. And that is why we have the challenges we have today. And I think that something ought to be done about it. Mr. Speaker, this thing is very important. Mr. Speaker, all of us, including other members, in fact, the former Minister for Health, himself has thousands of bags of rice at the farm. I know where he farms. Yet government is unwilling. And it is very simple. Those who are importing this rice into this country, I shudder to think that there is something behind why government is a cabal. And unfortunately, the majority of them are not even citizens of this country. Something ought to be done about it. So I think that it is important that, considering the gravity of the challenges that confront us, and the fact that the economy is in disarray, and the fact that people are struggling. Importers are complaining day by day, including those who contributed to support President Nanado's campaign in 2016.
Honourable Member, I think this is a very important issue you are raising. Don't you think you have to get a very good platform for this discussion? I believe this is just a business statement for this week. So I will believe that if you can get appropriate platform to discuss these matters we are raising.
Mr. Speaker, who am I to question your directive? But permit me to say that I don't think that there could be any better platform than inviting the ministers responsible, whose comfort are ensured by our taxes, the taxes of our representatives, to come to this house.
Then go to that angle. That let the minister for.
As a matter of fact, that is the angle on which I'm even addressing the issues. Except that maybe I'm not convincing the speaker. I think that the majority chief whip is very convinced, and I know how passionate he is about the suffering of the people of this country, including his constituents. A lot of the importers are coming from his constituents and his region. I have had a lot of dealings with them. The importers are crying day by day. Mr. Speaker, they would import something. You know, when importers import, and I speak as a former deputy minister for trade, it will take them about 2 to 3 months to have the goods arrive in Ghana. So if...
Honourable Member, your point has been made.
I'm raising several points, actually. I haven't finished raising the points, Mr. Speaker. I haven't finished raising the points. Mr. Speaker, I know a gentleman who is at Obosoka, who's from your constituency. And he's been complaining, they are suffering. And these were people who contributed to support the campaign of Mr. Nanado in 2016. They contributed money. And those people are struggling. Mr. Speaker, you import items into this country, and it takes about 2 months.
Hold on. Let them listen to the chief whip.
Speaker, with respect, there are 1,001 challenges faced by this country. And it is not with any disrespect to my colleague. And he knows how patriotic both of us are. Fact of the matter that within the limitation of time, we can't exhaust everything today. That is why in the wisdom of the procedure that we are speaking to business statement. And the Honourable Member for Bole Bamboy started it well when he asked about Commander Sugar Factory, whether or not the number of waivers that we've listed, are there possibility of Commander Sugar Factory being dealt with? Look, I'm not undermining what you are saying, but it is not relevant to the business statement. And you are old enough in this house to know this. Because I think my colleague should summarize his point, and then we can make progress. Either we adopt the report or otherwise, and make progress. And you referring to my constituents, have they complained to you? My constituents have told me that under the 1D1F, we have 2. Specialty beer, nano food. No, I'm not complaining. I'm saying that it is work in progress. So if you say that my constituents are complaining, either you have been misinformed, or you don't have to...
Honourable Member for Bole Bamboy, please.
We have a responsibility as leadership to guide you, to support you, to guide the House. Our colleague should just limit himself to the business statement, and all of us can make.
Thank you very much.
And stop referring to my constituency.
So, Honourable Mutala,
they are very content with my work.
Honourable Mutala, earlier on, that is exactly where I was driving you to.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I take serious exception to the fact that I have not referred to your work as a member of parliament. I have friends who are from honourable Speaker's constituency, from your constituency, and I dealt with them as a former deputy minister for trade and industries.
So, Honourable Member, just address the business statement. I think we are going...
Mr. Speaker, honestly, when he says that the issues I'm raising are irrelevant, I think it is insulting to the consciences of the people of this country. Is it not relevant to demand that the minister responsible for finance and employment come to this house to explain to the young people who gave their services to this state?
That one has already been taken on board.
He said it's irrelevant. That's what he said. He said it's irrelevant. Is it not relevant to demand that they should be paid? You, a member of parliament, if your salary is not received for 3 months, will you come to this house? And these are young people who are taking less than 1,000 Ghana cedis. They have struggled to come to work for this state. They are not given their allowances. I raised it, and you say it is not relevant to business statement. It is, in fact, it is not only necessary, it is essential that we address the issue because they haven't been paid. NAPCO is no longer existing. People have contributed their services to this state. For years, they haven't been paid. And then you say it is not relevant. Mr. Speaker, is it not relevant to demand? Mr. Speaker, it's important.
Honorable Mutala, I don't think the relevance issue was in respect to.
No, he said it's not relevant to the statement.
Honorable Bolibamboy, member for Bolibamboy, issue has already been dealt with. So I think he raised it and we realized it was very pertinent.
If you recall, Honorable Atfosin, on one of the occasions when we were considering one of the formulae, you were the one who raised the matter on youth employment, if you recall, and said that we should get the amount that was located to a particular function was so high, and therefore we should amend it and make sure that this youth employment, those in afforestation were paid. You said that, and I supported you. Don't get it wrong. We just resume. So you have raised these matters, and you are going further to raise importation and all these types of importations. But what are we talking about here? We are talking about the waivers, which he has spoken to, and he's asked whether Commander Sugar Factory has been captured. Why? Yes, these are the matters. And then you talked about payment of these afforestation and youth employment. We will make the necessary overtures to reach out to the finance minister to come and speak to this. Please, you are not more concerned than anybody here.
Mr. Speaker, it looks as if we are not appreciating the point that the Honorable Mutala Mohammed is raising. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member is actually raising very critical issues and asking this House to call on the ministers responsible to urgently address them. Mr. Speaker, he needs more time to articulate his point. Speaker, I urge you to give him 30 more minutes so that he can articulate these serious points. They are very serious points, and Mr. Speaker, let's allow him to make his point, and then you can make...
Honorable Minority Leader, respectfully, I don't think there's anybody who is gagging Honorable Mutala. Nobody can gag Honorable Mutala. What he wants to tell the House, it should be straightforward. If you are inviting the minister, or you are asking that we should invite the minister to come and address one or two issues, I mean, just go straightforward to that. But the way you go meandering around and do so please just go forward. Whatever you think should be added into the business statement, just...
Mr. Speaker,
With respect, I'm very happy. You have given guidance. You have given guidance, and you have reminded us
a chance to speak
of what to do.
No, that's disrespect to your chair. He has not given you the chance to speak. You were talking about, I have been in this house too long a time to appreciate certain things.
Can we draw the curtains on this matter so that we can answer, we can speak to, as leadership, we can speak to the issues they've raised. We have to speak to it. You've mentioned issues about Commander Sugar Factory. You've mentioned issues about bringing in the finance minister to come and answer payment of employees. We have to give you answers and assurance. Don't you want answers?
Mr. Speaker, sadly, I haven't even finished asking my questions. I think it's a clear case of an old woman who is so concerned when dry bones have been mentioned. I am stating that the rains have actually started. Mr. Speaker, I am about to start farming. Many of my colleagues are about to start. And people are now, in fact, perhaps including you, and people are now spending 300 to 400 Ghana cedis per acre. That is unreasonable, considering the fact that people are going through a lot of challenges. Mr. Speaker, I have had some discussions with the Minister for agri. And I'm saying that many people have the concern, including the former Minister for Health. So if I ask that the Minister for Health, Minister for Agri be invited to explain to the people of this country, why is that
very well. The leader will address that. So go to your next point.
I'm concluding. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think that it is important. No, I wouldn't even demand that he withdraws. He says that I have stayed in this house too long to appreciate that, yes, the difference between myself and my honorable colleague is that whereas I can help it, he cannot. I have stayed long to appreciate the fact that the concerns of the people of this country should be of cosmic concern to me as a representative of the people of this country. Unfortunately, he has stayed so long that he still thinks that the concerns of the people of this country shouldn't be his concern. Yes. The concern of NYEP beneficiaries, NABCO beneficiaries who haven't been paid should not be your concern. The concern of farmers who are now spending so much money per acre should not be your concern. That is the kind of governance we have in this country, and it has sunk so low. And that is why I think that they should be responding to the challenges confronting the people of this country than taking swipe on people who are making statements that are genuinely ought to be given attention to.
Thank you very much.
Speaker, for responding to allow me to make these very, very important points for the good people of this country. Take a cue. Thank you.
Let me listen to it, then you respond. Yes, Honorable Ahiafo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, man do no longer live in the natural state of war. We are governed by rules and regulations. And the laws that govern this country are spelled out in Article 11 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I believe strongly that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, it is that procedure that will have to be followed in exercising the right. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution sets down the procedure to even recall members of Parliament from recess. And that particular power has been exercised in recalling members from Parliament. And 17th May, we are all here. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear in Article 102 as well as Article 104. Mr. Speaker, we are here to adopt the business statement. How can we be here to adopt a business statement with only 5 members from the majority side? Mr. Speaker, the laws of the country must be taken seriously. There are in fact 6 members from the majority side. And Mr. Speaker, you want the business statement of this House to be adopted with 6 members from the majority side? Mr. Speaker, we need to take the laws of the country very seriously. If the majority side is not prepared to attend Parliament, Mr. Speaker, they should let Ghanaians know that though they have been elected to come to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, they are not ready to do the business of the House. Mr. Speaker, with about 6 numbers, can we take a decision to adopt the business statement of the House? Mr. Speaker, if within the ambit of the law, it will not be proper for this number to be adopting the business statement of this particular House, then, Mr. Speaker, we need to advise ourselves accordingly. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, we cannot be adopting a business statement of the House with 6 members from the majority side. If the majority leader feels that 6 number from his side is enough to adopt the business statement of the House, then say so for the Hansard.
Very well. Honourable members, you raise quorum appropriately, not this time. But what I think today we've just resumed. We hope going forward we will improve the attendance. So, leader, Leader, if you may address some of the concerns members have raised so that we adapt the business statement.
Yes, Commander Sugarford. But when the needful is done by the minister to take it.
Mr. Speaker.
Talked about.
Yeah, leader, just allow your colleague to, then you take it finally. Let the minority chief whip raise his concern so that you take it.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much, and I thank the leader for the presentation of the business statement. And earlier, when Mr. Speaker was in the chair, he did indicate that we'll have a committee of the whole to deal with certain issues. I just want to appeal to the majority leader that, as he is aware, the inability of some of the statutory funds to deliver on their mandate is creating a problem. For instance, we are told NHI is in arrears of over 2 billion Ghana cedi. Common fund that goes to our assemblies to support the assembly so that less pressure is placed on members of parliament is in arrears. Mr. Speaker, it will be very important for the heads of these entities, together with the finance minister, to also be scheduled to appear at a point in time, so that members can get some assurance as to when these funds will be made available to the various sectors, so that we can get some activities going on and lessen the burden on members of parliament and our district assemblies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, before the leader comes in to speak to these issues, it's important I say a few words related to what my colleague, the Honorable Governs, just mentioned on the statutory payment. If he recalls, whilst I was in Uganda with him on an official trip, we made some calls to follow up on the Controller's Department. It came out clear that good efforts have been put in place to ensure a complete clearance of the arrears due. This is just an example. For instance, the NHI, we are told, as of yesterday, an amount of 760 million has been released from Controller's Department. That has been done for the NHI. Then on Get Fund, the request was 750. However, some 400 million has been released. There's a shortfall of about 300 million that we have to Get Fund, some 300 million. Apart from that, there is a concern, and the ranking member is not here, Honorable Akando is not here. There is an arrears due the NHI. And Speaker, leadership facilitated a meeting between the Health Committee and not the Finance Minister, the Controller. And they had a first meeting just to confirm the arrears due. We are waiting to get an input from the Finance Minister. Then we can confirm the arrears due and deal with it. I'm glad to say that the Parliament requests, about 90% of Parliament requests has also been released. Anybody can confirm. What is outstanding though is is common fund. And I work closely with my colleague, the Chief Whip. So we'll follow up through the Finance Minister to the Administrator to ensure that these releases are done as expected. So it shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on the Commander Sugar Factory exemption issue that was raised, I recall that I was a member of the Finance Committee that approved that facility from India. There was a tax exemption component in the machinery that was supposed to be imported for that purpose. So we've already approved a tax exemption for Commander Sugar Factory in 2015-2016. However, if under this new arrangement, there is a need for a tax waiver, I'm sure it will be within the remit of the management to make an application through the Ministry of Trade to ask Parliament on its own cannot get up and say that it is going to grant tax exemption. If, Honourable Member, you may sit down and listen.
Oh, look at this. Look at that.
Members, we got your question. Your question was that Honorable Minister for West and Housing visited the chiefs and people of Edina, and in the conversation it happened that the minister was saying a tax waiver is supposed to be granted, but probably your side is obstructing it. Is that not the question? I think he is answering it, but he has gone through another way. So let me allow the.
Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, please, let me explain what he did.
Very well.
The minister was there about 4 to 6 weeks ago, and the chiefs of Commander asked him why Commander Sugar Factory hasn't been opened. What he told the chiefs was it was a minority side that is refusing for Commander Sugar Factory to be activated, and that there are some tax exemptions that have come to the House to help Commander Sugar Factory, and we have failed to pass it. Is that true? And the question is, those tax exemptions that we just passed, do we have any one of them that is supposed to help Commander Sugar Factory? And the answer is no. So did he lie to the chiefs, or what is happening over here? Listen, we are all doing politics. But let me tell you something. Don't deal with people's lives when it comes to politics. There is life after politics. This is wrong. Don't go and lie to the chiefs. I'm the member of parliament for Commander Ednegwafo Abrim. What answer you give here, I'll go and tell the people that you guys lied to them.
Honorable member, take it lightly. I mean, take. Yes, respectfully, leader.
Mr. Speaker, if I heard the honourable member who just spoke right, it's creating a certain impression, but we don't have whatever that the minister said here. We don't have it here. I think that it's inappropriate to say that you guys have lied, and I mean, he is a very respected member of this house. And he should make his point. Honorable Atemos, I kept quiet and listened to you. Please. You must listen to me too. Yeah, but you are speaking. You are impugning improper motives.
Honourable members, please, let's be tolerant a bit. Yes. I mean,
so, Mr. Speaker, I believe that whatever the issue is, if he engages, we should be able to find a common ground. 2, on the youth employment issue, you said we've had outstanding since February. I would want better particulars, further and better particulars of this. Which region? No. The honourable member who spoke before, he said since February. He said since February. Don't run away from your own words. He said since February. So I expect him to give me further and better particulars so that I follow up. Because it's a matter of national concern. If you say people have not been paid, which region, which district? So give us the details. I will follow up for you. I will follow up for you. Mr. Speaker, I believe that having addressed these 2 concerns, you may proceed to direct the adoption the report.
Yes, just provide further particulars. Honourable members, the business statement that was read to us has been thoroughly discussed, and we hereby adopt it. So the business statement is hereby adopted.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, I want your guidance. We demanded that the respective ministers be brought to this house to respond to the questions. We want to hear from the majority leader.
Honorable Motala,
yes,
he responded it differently.
He
says Honorable Yusuf should provide better particulars to enable him take that decision. So probably he didn't answer that I'm going to bring the ministers. Because probably
I also asked questions. And all my questions and Honorable Yusuf's question is that we want the ministers involved to be brought to this house. Now you have stated that the business statement is adopted. We do not know whether those ministers will be brought in here, but that will be factored into the business statement going forward. That's what I want to know.
Honorable Motala, I think this is the first week. I think whatever concerns will be taken care of the next business statement. The business statement has been adopted. Yes, leadership.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. We have exhausted what we agreed to do at the pre-sitting. I therefore move that this house be adjourned. So tomorrow, 10 in the phone.
Yes, leader, I think the time is already 5 something. Even though we haven't sat for five hours.
The rule is clear. If we are within 5 hours of sitting, the house,
so,
yes,
no,
we are not in your hands yet.
We didn't start early.
That is
so that's why. So, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, yes, we have exhausted what we agreed to do for today. Apart from to say that, Mr. Speaker, the issues on these tax exemptions, we need to have enough time to debate it strongly and point to the issues that we feel are very uncomfortable to the people.
The minority leader knows that he lost the debate on this tax exemption. If he wants to reintroduce this debate, he should say so. If you want us to have another debate on tax exemption, come with your records in government. Why do you want to use a back door to talk about tax exemption? Mr. Speaker, he was defeated in this debate. His government did tax exemption without parliamentary approval. Have you answered that one? Mr. Speaker, he has seconded for the adjournment of the House. It is for you, Mr. Speaker, to rule.
Yes. Yes. The motion has been moved.
And seconded. All in favor? No.
No, leader, you come to tax exemption no matter what. So
No.
Honorable members, please. Honorable member, the leader has moved and the minority leader has approved. So there's nothing to do other than to put the question and the question. Mr. Speaker, you have already seconded the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I seconded the motion indeed. But, Mr. Speaker, you gave him an opportunity for him to come back. And it is only right that you also give me an opportunity to respond to the claim that I said. But, Mr. Speaker, let it be on record that the NDC have not lost the debate on the tax exemption. Mr. Speaker, they don't have track record on tax exemptions.
Honorable members, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn the House, say aye. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn the House to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon, say aye. All those against, say no. Honourable members, obviously we will come to tax exemption, so don't worry. Not today. No, not today. Honourable members, let him put the question again. Let him put the question again, honourable members. Honourable members, today is the beginning of the meeting, so let's have it smooth. So all those in favor of the motion to adjourn the House to tomorrow 10 o'clock. All those against, say no. The House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. The House stands adjourned.